Let me begin with a question. Have you ever considered how the simplest elements of life, air, water, fire, earth, are not just part of the world around you, but mirrors of your inner world, and among them salt, just a grain, nothing special at first glance. But this grain has preserved empires, healed wounds, blessed rituals, and purified spaces for thousands of years now. Today, you are told put salt in your toilet. At first this sounds absurd, strange, maybe even foolish, but often what appears simple or even silly is only the surface of something far deeper. We must ask, what is the toilet? It is the place where waste goes, yes, but symbolically, it is the one part of your house dedicated to removal. It is where you release the unnecessary. It is where the body lets go of what no longer serves, and still, many overlook it, forget it, treat it as unworthy of attention, just as we often ignore the parts of ourselves that are trying to let go, trying to clean, trying to heal. Now enter salt. Salt does not shout, it does not beg to be seen, but when present it changes everything. It purifies, it absorbs, it transforms. In ancient temples, salt was spread on the floor to keep away negative energy. In traditional medicine, salt draws toxins from the body, and in water, salt becomes something new, capable of absorbing and neutralizing unseen forces. So what happens when you take this ancient purifier and place it in the modern symbol of waste? A shift not only in cleanliness but in energy. The salt, quiet and firm, begins to draw out what you cannot see: bacteria, odors, stagnation. But more importantly, it reminds you, this place too, this ignored corner of the house, deserves care, deserves mindfulness. In our lives, we often want to cleanse only what is seen. We decorate the living room, we light candles in the bedroom, but true harmony is not selective. True mindfulness is not partial. True awareness shines even in the shadows, even in the places we would rather close the door on. To place salt in the toilet is to say, here too I see you, I honor you, I purify you. It is a ritual, simple but profound, a small gesture that echoes a larger principle. That transformation begins not always in loud declarations but in quiet actions, in discipline, in awareness. Salt in the toilet is not magic, it is a practice of cleanliness, but also of consciousness, of bringing intention into every corner of your life. And when you do that, when you bring wisdom even to the flush, you begin to see how nothing is mundane, nothing is too low to deserve light. So put salt in your toilet and see what happens. Salt, though simple and commonplace, holds a power far greater than its humble appearance suggests. It is more than just a seasoning on our food or a preservative for our meals. Salt carries a profound symbolism that stretches back through history and culture, embodying concepts of purification, transformation, and awareness. To understand salt is to glimpse a universal principle that connects the physical and the spiritual, the ordinary and the sacred. At its core, salt is a natural purifier. In the physical world, salt has the ability to cleanse and preserve. It removes impurities and prevents decay. When salt is sprinkled on food, it not only enhances flavor, but also protects it from spoiling, extending its life. This simple act of preservation reflects a deeper meaning: salt's role in maintaining balance and warding off corruption. In many ancient cultures, salt was believed to have protective properties, used to clean spaces and objects of negative energies or harmful influences. This practical use of salt as a purifier translates metaphorically into a spiritual function, where salt represents the clearing away of what is harmful, toxic, or stagnant from our lives and minds. Salt's transformative power lies in its ability to change what it touches. When mixed with water, salt alters the nature of the liquid, making it denser, more potent. Salt changes the environment it enters, often invisibly but profoundly. It acts as a catalyst, initiating change rather than merely being changed itself. This dynamic quality symbolizes the possibility of transformation within us, the potential to purify, to adapt, to evolve. Salt reminds us that change need not be violent or overwhelming. It can be quiet, steady, and sustaining. In many spiritual traditions, salt is regarded as a symbol of awareness. To be salty is to be sharp, clear, and attentive. Salt sharpens the senses and brings clarity to the mind, much like how it sharpens flavor. This connection between salt and clarity points to a deeper truth. Awareness is the first step toward purification and transformation. Without awareness, we remain blind to the toxins and blocks in our lives. Salt teaches us that clarity, both inner and outer, is essential for any process of cleansing and growth. Salt's significance also emerges in its role in rituals and ceremonies. Across cultures, salt is sprinkled to consecrate spaces, bless gatherings, or mark transitions. These practices underscore salt's connection to the sacred and the divine. It is a humble substance used to bridge the material and spiritual worlds, a tangible symbol of purity and protection. When we use salt in ritual, we invoke its timeless power to clear away negativity and invite renewal. This profound symbolism of salt encourages a mindful relationship with the ordinary. It invites us to see the everyday not as mundane or trivial, but as imbued with potential for meaning and transformation. Salt's presence in simple acts, like adding it to food or, as suggested, putting it in a toilet, reminds us that purification and awareness can happen anywhere, anytime. This universal element teaches us that transformation is accessible to all through attentiveness and intention. To embrace salt symbolism is to embrace a philosophy of life that values clarity, cleansing, and subtle but constant change. It calls us to honor the process of purifying what is harmful and embracing what is life-giving, both within ourselves and in our environment. Salt, in its quiet strength, embodies the journey from impurity to clarity, from stagnation to flow, from blindness to awareness. The toilet is often overlooked and dismissed as a simple functional space, a place we rush to and quickly leave behind without much thought. Yet, if we pause and look deeper, the toilet holds profound symbolism connected to release, letting go, and the parts of ourselves or our lives that we tend to ignore or hide away. It is much more than just a room for bodily waste. It is a powerful metaphor for the natural process of purification and renewal that is essential to all living beings. At its most basic level, the toilet is where our body disposes of what is no longer needed, waste, toxins, and excess. This act of elimination is crucial for health and balance, both physically and energetically. Just as the body must release what it does not require, so too must the mind and spirit find ways to let go of old patterns, negative emotions, and stagnant energy. The toilet symbolizes this necessary cleansing process. It reminds us that in order to make space for new growth, there must first be a deliberate removal of what weighs us down. However, the toilet is also often a place that carries stigma or discomfort. Because it deals with waste and what is considered unclean, it is frequently hidden away and avoided in conversation or reflection. This avoidance parallels how many people treat the shadow parts of themselves, the fears, regrets, or flaws they'd rather not face. Just as the toilet is tucked out of sight, these aspects of ourselves are often pushed into the background of consciousness. Yet, ignoring them does not make them disappear. It only causes build-up and imbalance. In a broader sense, the toilet can be seen as a sacred threshold between what we keep and what we release. It is a boundary where transformation takes place, unseen but essential. The flushing away of waste is an act of renewal, a physical cleansing that can inspire us to consider how we might flush old thoughts, habits, and energies that no longer serve us. This metaphor extends to emotional and spiritual health, encouraging us to embrace processes of surrender and discharge in our lives. Furthermore, the toilet's role in the home highlights the importance of honoring all spaces, even those considered lowly or unpleasant. True mindfulness and holistic care recognize that every part of our environment reflects aspects of our inner state. When we neglect or disrespect the spaces dedicated to release and cleansing, we risk neglecting the essential processes that maintain our balance. The toilet reminds us that renewal is not glamorous, but it is vital. The toilet also embodies a natural cycle, the cycle of intake and output, of nourishment and elimination, of receiving and releasing. This cycle mirrors many rhythms in life and nature. By attending to this space with awareness, we cultivate a deeper respect for the flow of energy and life itself. The toilet, in its function and symbolism, encourages us to embrace the necessity of letting go with grace and intention. This perspective invites us to rethink our relationship with what is discarded, forgotten, or deemed unworthy. It asks us to recognize that release is not a sign of weakness or failure, but an act of courage and wisdom. Just as the toilet plays a critical role in maintaining physical health, so too does conscious letting go maintain emotional and spiritual health. It is an invitation to honor the process of clearing out and making space for renewal in every aspect of life. Small rituals hold an extraordinary power that is often underestimated in a world rushing toward grand gestures and instant results. These simple, deliberate acts, performed with intention and mindfulness, carry deep spiritual and energetic meaning that can influence our inner landscape and outer reality in profound ways. Rituals create space for transformation, offering a bridge between the ordinary and the sacred, the mundane and the meaningful. At first glance, a small ritual may appear insignificant. It might be something as simple as lighting a candle, setting an intention, or as suggested in this context, putting salt in your toilet. Yet, within these seemingly trivial actions lies a wealth of symbolism and potential. Rituals work because they engage multiple aspects of our being, the mind, body, and spirit. When we perform a ritual, we engage our attention, focus our intention, and align ourselves with a purpose beyond the surface of everyday life. The power of small rituals comes from their consistency and presence. Unlike sporadic acts that might come and go, rituals invite regularity and discipline, cultivating a steady rhythm that nourishes growth and healing. Each time we repeat a ritual, we reinforce the meaning behind it, embedding it deeper into our consciousness. This repetition creates a feedback loop of awareness and intention that can shift our perspective and influence the energies around us. Moreover, rituals serve as tangible reminders of our connection to something larger than ourselves. They ground us in the present moment, anchoring our thoughts and feelings in a physical act that carries symbolic weight. This grounding effect helps quiet the noise of everyday distractions and opens a doorway to deeper awareness. Through ritual, we create a sacred container, a focused space where transformation is possible and welcomed. The meaning imbued in small rituals also comes from their symbolic language. Symbols have long been a bridge between the visible and the invisible, allowing us to express complex truths in simple forms. When salt is placed in the toilet, for example, it is not just about cleanliness or odor control. It becomes a symbol of purification and renewal, a physical manifestation of the intention to cleanse and transform what is hidden or neglected. This symbolic act reaches beyond the material and touches on spiritual principles of letting go and inviting fresh energy. In addition, small rituals can shift our energetic field. Our actions send ripples into the environment, influencing not only our internal state but also the space around us. Rituals are a form of communication, an expression of intention that resonates on subtle levels. They can clear stagnant energy, invite protection, or call forth healing. This is why so many cultures and spiritual traditions emphasize ritual as a cornerstone of practice. It is a universal language of transformation. Importantly, small rituals democratize spiritual practice. They are accessible to everyone regardless of background or belief because they require only intention and presence. There is no need for elaborate ceremonies or external validation. The simplicity of small rituals makes them practical tools for everyday life, empowering individuals to reclaim their agency in the process of self-care and spiritual growth. Through small rituals, we learn to honor the sacredness of ordinary moments. We discover that transformation does not always come from monumental change, but often from gentle, consistent acts of care and awareness. These rituals remind us that the path to wholeness is woven through everyday life, inviting us to find meaning and magic in the smallest of gestures. Mindfulness is often spoken of as a practice of focused attention, but its true depth extends far beyond simply noticing the obvious or the pleasant parts of life. To cultivate genuine mindfulness means to bring awareness to every aspect of our experience, even those parts that are hidden, uncomfortable, or commonly ignored. This inclusive form of mindfulness is what allows us to live fully and authentically, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things without judgment or avoidance. When we think about mindfulness extending to every part of life, it challenges the tendency to selectively focus only on what we like or want to see. It invites us to acknowledge the totality of our environment, emotions, and inner states. This means paying attention not just to beauty, success, or joy, but also to the shadowy corners where discomfort, decay, and disorder reside. By doing so, mindfulness transforms from a surface-level awareness into a profound presence that embraces complexity and paradox. The practice of being mindful of the unseen or ignored parts is especially significant because these areas often hold important messages. They may be sites of unresolved tension, hidden fears, or neglected needs. Ignoring these aspects does not make them disappear. Instead, they tend to accumulate, leading to imbalance or distress. When mindfulness shines its light on these shadowy parts, it allows healing and integration to begin. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. Extending mindfulness to every corner also means honoring the spaces we might instinctively avoid. In our physical environments, this might mean paying attention to the less glamorous or less comfortable areas of our homes or workplaces. places like basements, closets, or even the bathroom. Each space holds energy and reflects something about our inner world. When we bring care and attention to these areas, it becomes a metaphor for tending to the parts of ourselves that need compassion and healing. Moreover, mindfulness that includes the unseen invites a radical acceptance of life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. It encourages us to hold both light and dark, beauty and decay, presence and absence in the same space without resistance. This acceptance fosters resilience and peace, as we no longer expend energy fighting reality but instead learn to work with it. Mindfulness, in this fuller sense, becomes a practice of radical presence and unconditional compassion. This approach also nurtures a more holistic understanding of purity and cleanliness. True cleanliness is not just about outward appearance or surface level order, it includes the energetic and emotional layers beneath. When mindfulness embraces every part of life, it cultivates an inner environment where toxicity can be recognized and released. This deeper kind of cleansing supports lasting well-being and balance. Extending mindfulness in this way also enhances our relationship with time and process. We learn to see growth, healing, and change as ongoing journeys that include pauses, setbacks, and hidden work. This perspective encourages patience and gentleness with ourselves and others. The unseen parts are not ignored or rushed but acknowledged as essential stages in transformation. Finally, this expansive mindfulness helps dissolve the false boundaries between sacred and profane, clean and unclean, important and trivial. It reminds us that all aspects of life carry value and meaning, and that true awareness is not selective but whole. This inclusive vision fosters humility and gratitude, deepening our connection to ourselves, others, and the world around us. True change is rarely sudden or dramatic. Instead, it often begins in quiet, consistent, and intentional actions, those small steps taken repeatedly with awareness and purpose. This process of transformation is less about grand declarations and more about the disciplined cultivation of habits that align with our deepest values and intentions. Change that endures is rooted in patience and persistence, in a willingness to show up day after day, even when the results are not immediately visible. Intentional actions carry power because they focus our attention and direct our energy. Every choice we make, no matter how small, sends a signal to our mind and body, reinforcing certain pathways and patterns. When we act with intention, we engage consciously with these patterns rather than being swept along by unconscious habits. This conscious engagement creates opportunities for growth and healing, allowing us to slowly reshape ourselves and our environment in ways that support well-being and balance. Consistency is the foundation upon which meaningful change is built. Without regular practice, even the most profound insights remain abstract ideas rather than lived experience. By repeatedly choosing to act in ways that reflect our goals and values, we train our mind and body to embody new ways of being. This repeated action forms new neural connections, rewiring our brain toward healthier patterns and responses. The power of consistent intention lies in its cumulative effect. Small efforts compound over time to produce significant transformation. Quiet actions are often the most powerful because they are free from the distractions of ego and external validation. They are humble and sincere, performed not for applause or recognition, but out of genuine care and commitment. These quiet moments of intention create a fertile ground where subtle shifts can take root and grow. Unlike flashy or forceful changes that may provoke resistance or burnout, quiet persistence invites integration and harmony. Intentionality also invites mindfulness, the quality of being fully present and aware in each moment. When we bring intention to our actions, we naturally become more mindful, paying attention to the details and the impact of what we do. This mindfulness helps us stay connected to our true purpose and prevents us from drifting into autopilot or distraction. It also enhances our sensitivity to feedback, enabling us to adjust our approach as needed and deepen our learning. Importantly, intentional, consistent actions build resilience. The journey of transformation is rarely linear or easy. It includes challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. By grounding ourselves in steady, purposeful effort, we develop the inner strength to navigate difficulties without losing sight of our goals. This resilience is cultivated not through sudden breakthroughs, but through the quiet commitment to keep moving forward, no matter the obstacles. This approach to change emphasizes process over outcome. Rather than fixating solely on the end result, we learn to appreciate the value of the ongoing effort itself. Each intentional action becomes an expression of who we want to be, regardless of immediate success or failure. This perspective fosters patience, self-compassion, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. When intentionality is practiced in daily life, it transforms even the most ordinary actions into opportunities for growth. From how we care for our surroundings to how we respond to challenges, each choice becomes meaningful. This integration of intention into everyday life dissolves the divide between the sacred and the mundane, showing us that transformation is available in every moment, through every small act. Ultimately, the power of quiet, consistent, intentional actions lies in their ability to align us with our highest selves. They guide us gently but firmly along the path of becoming, allowing change to unfold naturally and sustainably.